So, ladies and gentlemen, all comrades listening to me, all university students, but not just university students, primary school, secondary school, and parents, I want to call upon you to join us to have mandamano of all mandamano on Tesa. And the day we are doing it on the 9th of September 2024, the way we rejected the finance bill, let us reject the education funding model in entirety. For us who are beaten, we have tissue damage, muscle damage, we are locked in a cell. In the cell, there was a lot of mental torture. They kept us in a cell for more than 24 hours, which we call illegal detention. They were not able to charge us because they took our file to Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. They could not see any reason to charge us, so they could not charge us. So later, they extort money from us by asking us to pay what we call cash bail for our freedom. The second time again, we are paying this money. We won't be refunded. So they are now commercializing police stations as a way to collect money from citizens. Ruto has thought that the problem was political. By forming a broad-based government, by bringing ODM into his government, and again start reappointing the ministers we rejected back to government. Remember, he has reappointed Moses Kuria to his government, Aisha Juma into his government. All those who are removed from government because of corruption, mismanagement, incompetence, lack of leadership, and lack of accountability have come back again through the back door. Some people are 42 years old, 43 years old, 45 years old. They have never worked. Retirement age is 55, if not 60. How can you be looking at your retirement 15 years from now and you have never worked? When you retire, what will you be able to eat during old age? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Professor Fred Ogola. I'm one of the leaders of Concerned Citizens Movement. I want to explain to you what happened on the eve of Katiba Day when we were arrested, plus 64 other young people who are collecting signatures, and why we are collecting the signatures. First and foremost, we had done a press conference at Chester House telling people that we have done analysis and found out that the reasons why the Gen Zs and us young people went to the street are claiming our sovereignty have not been addressed by what William Ruto has done. Instead of addressing the issues which we raised, which is barely economic, accountability, governance, and leadership, Ruto has thought that the problem was political. By forming a broad-based government, by bringing ODM into his government, and again start reappointing the ministers we rejected back to government. Remember, he has reappointed Moses Kuria to his government, Aisha Juma into his government. All those who are removed from government because of corruption, mismanagement, incompetence, lack of leadership, and lack of accountability have come back again through the back door. Because William Ruto thinks that the problem is political, while we know the problem is actually economic, we don't agree that that is a solution to us. Ruto has also thought that the problem Kenyans have when he calls broad-based government, what he believes is to bring tribal kingpins and tribal alliances so that these tribal alliances can cool the country politically, but economically the country is boiling. The country is boiling economically because there's a collapse of the education sector. Teachers are always calling for strike. Students cannot be able to get school fees. University students cannot be able to get school fees. The new funding model cannot work. Healthcare doctors should be on strike. Doctors' interns are complaining. Teachers' interns are complaining. The infrastructure is completely damaged. Ruto is not investing anything in the economy, but he wants to rip off everything. Ruto looks like somebody who wants to milk a cow that he has not given food. He has not given nuclear grass. He has not given water. Yet people are suffering. The problem that we have in Kenya is much bigger than you can imagine. And let me explain this in numbers. Young people are 60% unemployed. That means that young people, 60% of the young people who are not employed cannot participate in the political and economy of their own country. And that is terrible because that's what brought out the Gen Z revolution. And because Ruto is not conscious, the economy is now growing at 4.2%, down from where it was during Uhuru Kenyatta when it was 5.8%. And if economy is growing at 4.2%, youth unemployment is growing at 22%. It means that the more Ruto continues being in State House, the more youth will never ever see employment. Young people will never ever see what is called pay slip. And that means they are condemned to perpetual poverty. Some people are 42 years old, 43 years old, 45 years old. They have never worked. Retirement age is 55, if not 60. How can you be looking at your retirement 15 years from now and you have never worked? When you retire, what will you be able to eat during old age? How can you take care of your children and your girl children if you retire having never ever worked and been a payroll? While the rich people are being recycled, billionaires are getting jobs, millionaires are getting recycled. And young people who are unemployed are out of work. And there is no interest from William Ruto. There is no intention from William Ruto. There is no competence from William Ruto. There is no how from William Ruto to turn around the economy of this country. He can only turn around the country politically by recycling and reusing politicians who have been the main cause of our problem coming back to government, instead of inviting young people who can be revolutionary enough to come with new ideas. But we are not asking to be invited to Ruto's government. We are asking that we need to mobilize and form the next government. We have created a movement which will be government in waiting, that Kenyans should choose to elect so that we can change this country. Because the problem that we have remained and persisted while we change leadership. We change regime after regime, but the problems have remained persistent and consistent. The only thing these people are consistent about is corruption, mismanagement, their lack of accountability. Those are very consistent. They are very inconsistent about their promises. They are very inconsistent about economic turnaround. They are very inconsistent about creating employment. And they are very inconsistent about being accountable. They are very inconsistent about the issues of change of leadership. So this one, we insist, must stop. So when we said that Ruto must go, and we are collecting signatures that should amend the constitution to allow citizens recall the president directly, what the president did was to order for our arrest. This is the second time William Ruto is stopping us from doing signature collection to look for how we can recall him from State House using a constitutional means, which is unfair, undemocratic, and actually evil. During our arrest, we were beaten. Like some young people were in a matatu going back to Kibra after attending the press conference. The policemen in plain clothes entered their matatu, ordered everyone to lie down on their stomach, and beat them properly. Then that brought them to Central Police where they were locked with us. For us who are beaten, we have tissue damage, muscle damage. We were locked in a cell. In the cell, there was a lot of mental torture. They kept us in a cell for more than 24 hours, which we call illegal detention. They were not able to charge us because they took our file to Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. They could not see any reason to charge us, so they could not charge us. So later, they extort money from us by asking us to pay what we call cash bail for our freedom. The second time again, we are paying this money. We won't be refunded. So they are now commercializing police stations as a way to collect money from citizens. When you go there, they arrest you, they detain you, they ask you for money so that they destabilize you economically so that you cannot be able to raise your voice. So when we eventually paid cash bail for all the young people who are there, they chased them away. The media was waiting for us outside to address the media. They ensured all the young people had been chased away. When we came out to begin addressing the media, again, tear gas. And the police started chasing us with rungus in town. We are to run up to where the people were in Jivanji Garden for our safety. Of course, we eventually told the people in Jivanji Garden we are free, but we are not free. We are just free because we are not in the cell, but we are not free because our country is not free. So that's what happened yesterday. It's very painful. And I want to tell Kenyans, we are not going to let down. In fact, we will continue to do the push. We won't be afraid of being arrested. We won't be afraid of being beaten. We won't be afraid of being harassed. Because Ruto is trying to destroy our constitutional rights to do what we want. The Constitution has rights to everybody. Rights to life. Rights to freedom of movement, freedom of expression. But also life to healthcare, life to education, life to living a decent life. He cannot guarantee those things. So because he cannot guarantee what the Constitution requires him to do, let him go home. Because if you can't do while you're in office, what is the need of saying, I'm a head of state? A head has work. You cannot have a head which cannot work. The fact that you have a head in your body, the head controls the whole body. We cannot have a head of state that cannot deliver what his role is. So for us, Ruto must go home, and we are not relenting it. And we're asking the policemen to stop brutality, stop what we call unlawful and illegal arrest and detention. That is not what is required. The fight we are fighting for, we are also fighting for the policemen. We cannot have the people we are fighting for also being oppressors. They should not be telling us how we should demonstrate. Because how can an offender explain to you how to protest against the very offenders whom you are trying to protest against? We are the citizens, and the sovereign power belongs to the people, and the people cannot be commanded how they should protest against the state, which is an oppressive state. If it was a good state, then they can actually allow us to obey the rules. Let the state obey the rules in order to have legitimacy to ask people to obey the rules. And let me explain that when I was arrested with somebody by the name Mudeora Carriera, Mudeora Carriera is one of the coalition of defenders, the coalition's members. We're working together. We had just done a press statement with all the Gen Z, even Kasmel Makaure was there. We had a very good message to the state because we are supposed to send a message that Katiba Day has happened, but we are not yet Katiba until we have the right president in State House who can obey Katiba. The Katiba is good, the Katiba is fine, but we made some assumptions that we shall have a good president who will obey the Constitution, and that's why we are trying to say, now we have to change the Constitution to recall the president, to give us powers to supervise, and even to punish the people who don't obey our Constitution. And we are going to form a very big coalition. All Gen Zs are invited. Gen Zs now means all generations. All generations should come together to form a coalition. And this coalition is going to be different from the other coalition you have seen. The coalition being formed now is a coalition of political alliances, political kingpinship. That one we call the first horse. That's a political horse. The second horse is concerned citizens horse. In this horse, we have issue-based people, young people who are concerned about the political issues that are in this country, people concerned about the economic issues that need to change the country, concerned about youth unemployment, healthcare sector which has died, education sector which is being killed by the president. We are concerned about the cost of living which is being killed by overtaxation. And we are concerned about corruption, which is what is choking the economy. The economy can grow at double digit, but the corruption is choking the economy. Can you believe that the President William Ruto is worth more than 2.8 trillion shillings? That one is equal to Safaricom, KCB, and Equity Bank combined in terms of net worth. But look, Safaricom has employed over 600,000 people. How many people have been employed by KCB? Over 60,000. How many people have been employed by Equity Bank? Over 80,000. How comes these same jobs cannot be given by the people who own the same property? William Ruto is richer than KCB, Equity Bank, and Safaricom combined. Why is he not able to give the equivalent number of jobs to these people? So we want us to take over this government. Once we take over the government, we can be able to bring that level of employment that KCB, Safaricom, Equity Bank can do by removing corruption and setting up a transparent, accountable, and clean government. When the government is not clean, nothing can work. Even if you are trying to breathe, when your nose is clogged, you cannot breathe. Everything needs to be clean. Even a car cannot run when the engine system is not clean. This government is not clean. It cannot deliver anything. The best quality of a leader is honesty. And when you don't have an honest leader, we don't have the right person in State House. So there's no right that can ever be achieved with a government that do not know what they are supposed to be doing. So we are urging Kenyans, please do the following. Read Samuel, 1 Samuel, chapter 8, verse 1 up to 18. That if you choose a leader like Saul, who is now here called William Ruto, will overtax you, will make you slaves, will beat you up, will give you taxes that you cannot pay, will overburden you, you cannot work. So there is a time for us to remove Saul and replace Saul with David. How should you do that? Kenyans, please go and take IDs. Go and register as voters. Vote the right horse. There will be two horse race. There will be a two-horse race, yes. But the first horse is a political horse, which I repeat is full of political, and I can call them tribal alliances. That horse is just a horse that is full of lies, broken promises. They cannot deliver anything. They only know politics. The second horse is, which we call a concerned citizens horse, which is concerned about the citizens' daily struggles. The economic issues. The economic issues are education, healthcare, livelihoods, comfort, and the future of this country. They will be concerned about making an economy where everybody can have a decent life. We are speaking about what has happened somewhere where we have contributed, and therefore we have the know-how, we have the knowledge, and we have the ability to do it. Let us not behave as if we have what is called scarcity of leadership. There is no scarcity of leadership. The people who can lead are very many. And even starting with me here standing, I can lead this country. And any other Kenyan who is capable, present yourself. What we are looking at, we are not looking at people who say, I want this, I want that. First of all, let us come together in a coalition. Everybody will come out together. Then the leader will actually emerge from the people who come together. And I want to tell even the professionals, whether you're in the private sector, whether you are in the public sector, you are a professional, you should know the following. If you leave politics and good people don't join politics, bad people will. So because we have been told that leave politics to politicians, by politicians, now professionals leave politics to politicians. Politics is too important to be left in the hands of tribal kings, the hands of corrupt kings, the hands of incompetent people. Let us have many professionals as possible joining hands with us. Let us form the next government and run it professionally. Because if you don't run it professionally, it will be run politically. Our problem is that we have run our politics politically rather than running politics professionally. So, ladies and gentlemen, all comrades listening to me, all university students, but not just university students, primary school, secondary school, and parents, I want to call upon you to join us to have Mandamano of all Mandamano on Tesa. And the day we are doing it on the 9th of September 2024, the way we rejected the finance bill, let us reject the education funding model in entirety. Why am I saying so? The bans which have been put, band 1, band 2, band 3, band 4, they are trying to say that, first of all, the band 1, which have people who are most vulnerable, who should have more support from the government funding model, that band only constitutes 12% of Kenyans. Yet we know over 60% of Kenyans are poor, so it is poorly calculated. The formula is wrong. The second thing is they are using a formula that if you got bursary and scholarship in primary school and secondary school is when you qualify for band 1. Yet we know that bursary and scholarship have always been given to the children of the rich by the politicians. So if a politician gives bursary and education, money, funding to rich people in primary and secondary, They are the same people coming to access university education, which means that the education funding model is meant for the rich, not for the poor. Yet it should be the opposite. So this camp that has been brought by William Ruto should fall on 9th of September 2024. Let us all come out, primary, secondary, teachers, doctors, because all of us are parents. Let us come to the street with all university students and all concerned citizens of Kenya and ensure we reject that funding model in totality. Let us go back to the health fund until we are able to cure the solution. University education should be free and equal. Therefore, no one should be seen in university as if for them they are in band 1, band 2, band 3, band 4. Why are you putting people into different categories? University education should be done in a free and fair environment. Everybody should come there based on their qualification, on what they got in the university, in high school grade, not to start again distinguishing them into the poor, the vulnerable, and most vulnerable. We do not want that. Everybody should get funding and should get funding equally. Because if we continue doing that, we are denying some people chances. The president told us for him, he got the funding from HELP and he was paying at 2%. Why are students paying at a higher interest rate? So we don't want this come. So this fund should come, should be rejected by everybody so that we can go back to the default setting. What is not, HELP has made most of us access education. It has made the Kenyan system to be as educated as we are. Kenyans are so educated because of the health system. And I'll tell Mr. President, why are you obsessed by changing things to call them what you want? Everything you want to call what you want. You went to healthcare, you changed it. The insurance, you changed it. Education system, you are changing it to your name. Healthcare, you are changing. Now in insurance, even the one for NHF, you are changing. Now you are changing even the health. We don't want those changes because they are unnecessary. I want to say in all honesty that, Mr. President, you have to know that education in Kenya has made Kenyans be highly educated. But this economy cannot reward Kenyans because the economy is being driven using a reverse gear by yourself. So the economy cannot reward the Kenyans because the economy needs to grow faster to reward the Kenyan education system. So even if we people are paying money to go to education, the education system cannot be rewarded where there is no employment. People are not employed. Education is not complete until people are employed. So we have to come with a system that can increase employment as you enhance education, as you model the education system. Thank you.